Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test, Smart Sunday number 4. Hi, Angeline. Talking to Angeline here. She left me a comment. She has a road test tomorrow and is asking me about being able to drive a slower speed limit than the posted speed limit because conditions on the roadway warrant driving slower. So she said it's also supposed to rain tomorrow. So yes, you can drive slower than 50 kilometers an hour in the city if it is raining or you're in a residential area where there's lots of cars parked along both sides of the roadway, or you're in a school zone where it's 30 kilometers an hour. So there are reasons to drive less than the posted speed limit on your road test as well. If the flow of traffic is less than the posted speed limit, then also drive slower than the posted speed limit, because you either want to drive the speed limit, the posted speed limit, the flow of traffic, whichever is less. So that's what it's going to be doing. So please calm down. No, just breathe. We're all nervous when we're taking tests and people are watching us and criticizing what we're doing. We're all nervous, and nerves are good for us. We just need to remember to breathe. That's all. Chelsea, good luck on your road test tomorrow morning in New York City. Common mistakes. Chelsea, you know you cannot, you're in New York City, so you cannot make a right-hand turn on a red light according to the driver's manual. And I got to stop banging my hands here. So, okay, style is scared. Yes, just breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth, breathe all the way to your navel. Okay, El Flaco, never hit the curb, automatic fail. Now, if you hit the curb, yes, we've had this conversation before on previous sessions about parallel parking and hitting the curb. If you touch the curb, that's not a fail. If you bump the curb and the body of the vehicle moves over the chassis, then yes, that is a fail. So, style, yes, you need to focus on what you're doing and look at the video on fear and anxiety, and that will help you to learn how to focus on what you're doing and not what your instructor's doing, because you really want to focus on what you're doing. So know that for the purposes of your road test and practicing while you're driving. Okay, Mr. Natraven, what's the difference between CDL in Canada and the US? I'm doing my Class A in Chicago now. There isn't a great deal of difference between the CDLs in the United States and Canada. Both of the CDLs require that you do air brakes as part and parcel of your Class A license, and the 5 components of a Class A license course are turning, shifting, pre-trip inspection, hook and unhook, and backing. And I don't know, Mr. Natreven, what the backing requirements are for the DMZ where you're going to be taking your road test. Do you know that information, what maneuver you have to do for backing up tractor trailer? Because different centers have different requirements. Some of them just require you to back up straight. Some of them are backing around a corner. Some of them are parallel parking. It depends on where you're going for your license test. Style, control your breathing. Yes, there you go. Awesome. Annabelle is in South Carolina. Yeah, just if the smart drivers here who are here today, just let me know where you are in the world. That's always great. I know that in Europe it's the middle of the night. I'm going to reschedule one of these Smart Sundays so that we can get the people from Europe in as well, because unfortunately I'm scheduling them Sunday at 6 and it's the middle of the night there in Europe. So, Socorro, does the instructor play a huge role on whether you pass the road test? Yes, they do play a huge role in passing a road test. Now, Angeline is in Terrace, BC, which is up north in the province, way up north. Yes, the driving instructor does play a huge role. Now, let me just clarify one of the myths about passing road tests. Driving instructors, yes, they do teach you how to drive, but for the most part, driving instructors teach you how to pass a road test. They do that every day. That's what they do. And for the most part, that's what I do here on the channel, except for my last video, which was on autonomous vehicles, and I sort of put on my professor hat and did a little bit of lecturing about why autonomous vehicles are probably not going to be around in the 21st century. So just have a look at that video if you're interested in self-driving cars and those types of things. Okay. Nora, my test is in months' time. My instructor always says that I turn too near to the curb when turning left. Mine is on the right. Any advice on when the exact time is to turn? If you're turning right, Nora, you want to turn when the pillar on the passenger side of the vehicle is in line with the cross street. That's when you want to start turning right. Now, the other thing I would suggest to you, Nora, is to go back to the parking lot and practice some of the fundamentals of driving. And there's a video here on the channel called Fundamentals of Driving, which will teach you the primary controls. Go and get some of those 36-inch 1 meter tall pylons, and those will help you to learn space management of the vehicle and how to turn better. Okay. Style, do they pay attention to hand positions? Yes, they do. Hand positions on the steering wheel. Must have 2 hands on the steering wheel at all times during the road test, and you must keep your hands in contact when you're turning the wheel. Now, it depends where you are in the world. Some places require that you do hand over hand, and other places do hand to hand. But most places in North America, it's hand over hand for turning for the purposes of a road test. Okay, so Northwest Indiana elevators. I'm in Indiana, as your username suggests. Awesome. Been to Indiana. Actually worked for a trucking company out of Indiana, Daleville, Indiana. Burlington Motor Carriers. They're not in business anymore. They went Chapter 7, I think it's called in the States, when you go bankrupt. So that's what I was doing in the United States. El Flaco, New York City, make sure you obey the speed limit. Here, I'll put the comments up for you so everybody can see the comments here. Where's my comments? There's my comments. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right. Offset parking tomorrow. Mr. DeTrevin, that's great. Okay, oh, back, parallel and offset parking, as far as I know. I was doing back and, okay, so Mr. DeTrevin, so they have you do 2 or 3 types of backing. It's not just one backing maneuver, because most of the places that I'm at, it's just one maneuver for backing, so it sounds like you're going to be doing 2 or 3. El Flaco, be nice to the instructor. Always listen to him or her. If you didn't understand, it's okay. Ask exactly what, where'd you go? What you need to do or go. Yes, if you do not understand, when you're on your road test and you do not understand the instructions of the examiner during your road test, and for that matter, if you're training with a driving school with a driving instructor, be sure to ask, you know, for clarification of what they said so that you can do that. Karthik is India. That's awesome. All the way from India. Which gear? So you're driving, Karthik, you're driving a manual transmission. If you're driving a manual transmission at 25 kilometers an hour, it's probably 2nd gear. It might be 3rd gear. It kind of depends a little bit on the gearing in the car, but for the most part, it's probably going to be 2nd gear on 25 kilometers an hour. So just another question, quick question, Karthik. There in India, are they on the metric system, so everything's in kilometers per hour in India? When you're driving there. So yeah, if you could just that. Boston in Vancouver, BC, they will get you to do 45-minute north road test. Yeah. So in the States, there's a difference between in Canada and in the States. I don't know why this is, but I was talking, Sam was here a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that in the States, most of the road tests in the States are 8 to 10, maybe 12 minutes. They're not very long in the States, whereas here in Canada, they tend to be 20 to 40 minutes, depending on where you are. So that's one of the differences. So for those of you who are in the United States and other places, know that your road test isn't going to be very long. So Karthik said, yes, in India it is in kilometers. So that's thanks for that information, Karthik, because I didn't know that. I suspected it was, but okay. So Angeline has one more question. Can you be failed for going 51 hour for just a second? No, you cannot. Angeline, they will not fail you for that. Now, say that you're doing a minute and you're doing 5 kilometers an hour over, then yes, but you want to try and, as best you can, maintain an even speed. They're not gonna. So no, they're not gonna fail you for that. Reasonable, within reason. So you want to be as close as you can. Madman Spitty, is it possible to heel toe using your right foot on one pedal at a time, or do you have to split your foot for each pedal? Okay, Madman, what are you doing that you are rev matching? Let's talk a little bit about rev matching for just a minute, because I've had some questions about rev matching. Rev matching is a racing technique. It is not for everyday driving of standard transmissions. The purpose of rev matching. Now let me talk to you about rev matching for just a minute. Now you are going hell-bent for leather into a corner at a speed that you really should not be driving a car. Now watch some of the rally car racing. What they're doing when they go into the corner is they're rev matching. So they got their foot on the brake, they're slowing the vehicle down, and they're throttling up at the same time so they can downshift, because what happens if you use the transmission to shift down, it slows the vehicle, and the vehicle is going on an equal plane like this. And when you downshift and let the clutch out, if you don't rev match, the vehicle will shift like this and you'll lose control and the back end of the vehicle will kick out. So if you're asking me about rev matching for everyday driving in a standard transmission, I'm going to say to you, don't do it. Just don't do it. I mean, unless you're out and you get your WRX and you want to do rally car racing, then yes, go right ahead and do rev matching. But for the most part, no. And to answer your question, I'm sorry, I've lost the question now, but where did rev matching go? We're talking about rev matching. Just say rev matching. So no, it's you are splitting your foot. Your right foot is going to be split between the brake and the throttle. So that's how you do rev matching, and it's going to take a fair bit of practice because you're slowing down at the same time that you're throttling up. So, but for the most part, no, it's not going to be doing rev matching in everyday driving of standard transmissions. Sam is here. Sam is from Bronx, New York State, and he works for Rookie Auto Driving School. Sam is a driving instructor down there, so if anybody has any questions about New York City, somebody did actually. I'm sorry, I apologize who it was who has a road test tomorrow in New York City. So just say hi to Sam, and if you have any questions specific about that, just ask Sam a question here, and he's more than welcome, or more than willing to give you a hand and make sure that you're successful on your road test there in New York City. Dolphin line, how to use signal lights in backing. Okay, so dolphin line, anytime that you're backing up, the direction that you're going, that's the direction you have to signal. It's that simple. So look at the 3-point turn video here on the channel. That will help you out. Okay, who else? How long is the road test? Jake, where are you for the road test? If it's in the United States, it's 8 to 12 minutes. If it's in Canada, it's 20 to 40 minutes. So it depends on where you are in North America, or maybe that you're somewhere else. So not a problem, Sam. Anytime we can help you out. Okay, Mr. Netreven, what is an automatic fail on a pre-trip inspection? You have to accumulate a certain amount of points in the CDL. So just, I think it's 5 demerits. Just check with your local DMZ about how many points you're allowed on pre-trip inspection. But you got to miss some of the main stuff in order to, like, you're not checking your brakes, the pre-trip inspection. If you don't check, I think it's 2 of the brake pots, then just know that, okay? So that's some of the things on the pre-trip inspection and whatnot, okay? Okay, so, yeah, so Style is in Ohio. Okay, Mad Matty, I drive a 2010 370S Nismo Standard. I'm learning standard, so I was just wondering heel toe is sufficient. But you well answered that question, so thank you. Not a worry at all. But, you know, if you start racing with your with your Nismo there, then away you go. Great. Okay. Okay. Who else? Boston, you want an update on the car? It looks like I burned a valve out of it, and it needs a top-end rebuild. Now, I'm trying to find out if I can get a whole motor that's rebuilt for the motor. So it's going to be an expensive fix. It's probably going to be $3,000 or $4,000 by the time I get finished. So I'm trying to figure out whether I'm going to repair it or whether I'm going to replace it. So, okay. Jake is in Ontario doing his G2 on Wednesday. It's in Kitchener. I'm from London originally, Jake. So I'm really nervous. Yeah, you're good at parking. I'm not really good at parking. What I tell students is practice. So do the major ones, practice the major ones for the purposes of your road test on Wednesday. So focus on your 3-point turn. parallel park, and reverse stall parking. Those are probably going to be the main parking that they're going to ask you to do for the purposes of your road test on Wednesday. So just as long as you can do those, the other ones you can probably just, you know, sort of wing it a little bit, like 2-point reverse turn and whatnot. Rinwer, this is going to sound silly, but how do you learn about motorcycle riding if you don't have one? Something like driving in a car, you can't share a car. I don't know. Let me give that some thought and see how you might be able to, you know, learn how to ride a motorcycle. Start riding your bicycle is the first thing that comes to mind. Is do that. So okay, let's see. Where are we here? El Flaco. The biggest thing holding back is fear. Yes, it's always fear. And as my favorite president said, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So yeah, we all have to do that. Analytically sound. If I fail, I hit the curb during parallel parking. Now, where are you? Tell me where you are analytically sound. Yes. Okay. No, El Flaco, that's a great point. There's no such thing as a silly question. You're absolutely right. There's only a silly answer, and if instructors or teachers berate you because you asked a question, then that really saddens me, because there is no such thing. And you know, oftentimes what happens is the instructor didn't ask the question correctly, or something was misunderstood, or there was a miscommunication somewhere. So never be afraid to ask a question, because if you don't ask a question, then you're not going to know, right? And usually if you're thinking about the question, then there's 20 other people in the room, or 5 or 10 other people in the room who as well are also asking a question. So always ask a question. So analytically sound is in British Columbia here, in the province that I'm in. No, you will not lose points for bumping the curb. You will lose points if you actually hit the curb. So for example, if the body rocks over the chassis of the vehicle, or you push the tire up over the curb, then yes, you will fail on a parallel park. But if you just touch the curb, you know that you touched the curb because you are in good contact with the vehicle, and you go, oh, and then you move forward and you just adjust, then no, you're not going to fail for that. Okay, so IB12541, when you take an MSF or Rider Edge course, they furnish the motorcycle. So there you go. Yes, that's a great point. Thank you for that. If you take a motorcycle course, they do supply the motorcycles. So you don't have to ride your own motorcycle or have a motorcycle. So know that. John is from Colombia. Awesome. That is awesome. I'm learning English. Good videos, new subscriber. Thanks so much for your subscription, John, and all the best with learning English. I know that your English is probably way better than my Spanish. And Sam just said that he always tells the students to ask questions. Again, if they didn't understand the response, or they didn't understand what was being communicated, so know that. Tirira, yes, I have several videos on how to drive backwards. Now, one of the points that I'm going to clarify, Tirira, is the video on reversing. I tell you that you can take your seatbelt off to back up. And once you get your license, you can do that, because it's uncomfortable for some people to have their seatbelt on and turn around to look out the back window for it to be safe. So, but for the purposes of your road test, don't take your seatbelt off. Leave your seatbelt on for the purposes of the road test. Even though most legislation says that there's an exemption for backing up the vehicle, that you can, in fact, take your seatbelt off. But for the purposes of the road test, don't take your seatbelt off when backing up. But there are several videos here. And what I'll do here at the end when I'm done is I'll put a list of those videos down in the description for you, so that you can have a look at those. Manjinder, I'm an international student in Alberta and I don't have any type of driving license. How I can take my learner's license, and how is it going to take a class 5? Well, you have to get a vehicle somehow, and you're going to have to get somebody to help you, because you're going to have to take a learner's. Do you have a license from another country that you can use to get your learner's? Okay, so just answer that question for me. Can I do a mock road test with a student? Style, that's a good suggestion, and I'll definitely put that on the list of videos that I will make. Okay. Lionel, is a class as a CDL permit test timed in Florida? Lionel, CDL test in Florida. Now, is that a Class 1 license? So is that tractor trailer that you're doing? Because it's a different amount of time for a different vehicle. So just answer that. Black music. Advice on smooth turning. So one of the ways that you can turn more smoothly is slow the vehicle down to the speed that you need to be at before you execute the turn. So that way, once you get halfway through the turn, then you start to accelerate out of the turn, and that's the way that you smooth out your turn. So on a right-hand turn, you're going to do it anywhere from 12 to 15 kilometers an hour or 8 to 12 miles an hour. So you want to get down to that speed before you start executing the turn. On a left-hand turn, it's going to be sort of 15 to 25 kilometers an hour. It's going to be sort of 12 to 20 miles an hour. And you need to get down to that speed before you go around the corner. If you get to the proper speed before you get to the corner, you're going to smooth out your turns because you're going to accelerate out of the turn, and that is much better. Okay? Lewis, New Brunswick, Canada. Can you give a guide on passing public buses that are picking up a passenger, especially when the designated bus stop is just on the road? Yes, Lewis. One of the things you need to know is that usually bus stops are either before the curb or just on the other side of the intersection. So what you need to do is you need to be scanning as you're coming down the road and looking for those bus stops, and you need to get past the bus. The other thing, when you're coming up and you see the transit bus on the side of the road, did the transit bus just get there, or has the transit bus been there for a while? Because if it's been there for a while, you're going to know that eventually it's going to come out. And most of these buses now in urban centers, you have to give the right of way to the bus if it is moving out. So just know that. But it's really about scanning forward and reading the traffic patterns and seeing how long that bus has been on the side of the road. So just know that. Peaches, if I passed an air brake test on a bus, do I have to pass it again to get my CDL? When you take your practical test, Peaches, you're going to have to do a pre-trip inspection, and that pre-trip inspection is going to involve the air brake components of the vehicle. So know that you're going to have to do the practical component. You're not going to have to do the theory stuff, but you're going to have to check brake pots and determine that the brakes are in adjustment and there's enough air pressure. The governors are working, compressor is working, all of those types of things as part of your vehicle. Style, no, you cannot use a backup camera for a road test. You have to turn your body and look out the back window. Jordan, we already had a conversation about rev matching. Rev matching is for racing. No, you don't have to do rev matching. Jordan, what are you asking me about in terms of rev matching? Are you doing that for a road test? Is that what you're asking me? Just clarify that for me. Okay, Lionel, so you're doing tractor trailer with no endorsement. Okay, so you're doing a straight tractor trailer, not a straight tractor trailer, that's an oxymoron. You're doing a tractor trailer. The test is probably going to take you about 2 hours. Okay, so they allow 45 minutes for a pre-trip inspection, then you're going to go for a drive. The drive will probably be 20 minutes for a class 1. You're going to do a hook and an unhook, and you're going to do a hook and unhook. You're going to do your backup exercise. So there's the 5 things that you're going to do. So usually it runs out about $20. It usually runs out about 2 hours for a road test. Baloo, $20. Thank you so much for that. Very nice. Okay, I learned how to turn left at complex intersections with your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. That is incredibly appreciated. Okay, Jordan, regular driving in your Corvette. Have you got a 4-speed or a 5-speed in your Corvette? Because that is awesome. I'm going to stop clapping my hands. I'm working on that. But rev matching, Jordan, just a quick thing. Rev matching is for racing. It's what happens is that in racing, you're coming into a corner, you're trying to brake at the same time that you're trying to downshift. So what happens is when you downshift, and if you don't rev match, you change the vehicle. So it comes into the corner on a flat like this, and if you downshift, you get braking due to the downshifting, and the weight in the vehicle shifts up like this, and you lose control because the back end comes around. So to keep the vehicle on an even plane, what you do is you throttle up to shift down, but you're braking at the same time, and then you go into the corner. That's the purpose of rev matching. So rev matching is not for everyday driving, but if you want to start, you know, letting the string out on your Corvette, then learn how to rev match. Okay. Angeline thought of another question. If I hesitate at a left, turn on a green with no advance just once, can I fail for that? It really depends on the situation, Angeline. You're probably not going to fail, but I do really suggest that don't go on a left-hand turn unless you're absolutely comfortable, okay? Just make sure the gap is big enough. They're not going to ding you on that, because driving examiners really don't like being involved in crashes. So go when you're safe to do. Excuse me. Just get the Spider-Man cup here. Analytically sound. How quickly must I correct my speed limit before they fail me? It has to be like a minute that you're, like, say 5 kilometers over the speed limit. If you're not adjusting within, 20-30 seconds, then they're going to probably ding you. But for the most part, it is going to fluctuate a little bit, and you want to try and keep it within 2 or 3 kilometers of the speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. If there is other traffic around, it's a little easier because you're just keeping your space between the other vehicles of 2 or 3 seconds. So that's not too bad. So, all right. Sorry, here we go. Wow, that's interesting, Sam, that you had a student failed because he kept asking right or left, even though he had limited English. Didn't the examiner sort of try and work something out with the student before that the examiner was pointing? Because I mean, that's what I did when I had students who had limited English. I just pointed in the direction that I wanted to go, or even, if they were speaking Spanish or some other language, I got them to teach me, which was left and which was right. So okay. Angie. Where's Angie? Angie left there. Okay. Do you have any tips for smooth braking? I'm being told my braking isn't too smooth. Yes, Angie, start braking sooner. Okay. That will help you to sort of smooth out your braking. So if you start braking earlier and increase your following distance. So if you increase your following distance, look farther down the road and start braking earlier, all that's going to smooth out your braking as well. Fundamentals of Driving video here on the channel. Have a look at that and practice some of that in the parking lot. Just go into the parking lot, drive down the parking lot like a crazy person, and then just hammer the brakes on, because that'll give you an idea of the response of the vehicle. So just do that. Be a little crazy on the brake in a controlled environment, and then that way you're going to get a feel for the primary controls on the vehicle and how they're going to respond. So that'll help you smooth out your braking. Okay. Yeah, Sam, that's a good point of what Sam just said. Just listen to what the examiner's saying and focus on what you're doing. Focus on your driving. Yeah, and just keep driving straight until they tell you to make a turn. That's exactly my advice. I'm spot on with what Sam is saying. Okay. Boston. Any advantages of taking your road test during rush hour? Not really. It's a bit frustrating. Debbie, what's the best city in Ontario to take your road test? Debbie, I couldn't answer that question. I think it would be easier in one of the smaller towns than it would be in, say, Toronto or Kingston or Ottawa or someplace like that. Rinwer, my driving examiner doesn't even clarify instructions. You want me to park here with fire hydrant? Driving examiner, silence, no response. Yeah, some driving examiners and instructors are better than others. So, all right. Ernesto, do you have a video on how to park with a bigger vehicle, say like a Chevrolet in Silverado? Ernesto, no, I don't have a video with a bigger vehicle, but definitely practice with that, because I had a student a couple of weeks ago who was asking me about a Dodge pickup truck. He went for his road test with a Dodge pickup truck, and I sort of cautioned him a little bit, saying that most road tests are taken in mid-size sedans like Toyota Corollas or Honda Civics. Those tend to be the preferred vehicles for road tests. So just know that. So just as long as you can handle your vehicle and drive and those types of things, you're going to be fine. And just know that it's going to take a bit of adjustment. And look at the Parallel Park playlist, and there are some other videos there that will give you some different reference points for the purposes of parallel parking with a different, with a bigger vehicle and different reference points and those types of things. So Styles said, take it on Saturday morning, early in the morning. Yes, that's another one. Okay. Chip Trippy Fox. Where did you go? There. Okay. Eddie, hi there. Angie, can I drive in the U.S. with a learner's permit and my international driver's license, but no instructor by my side. Learner's permit and my international, but no instructor. No, you cannot. If you have a learner's permit, you cannot drive without somebody beside you in the seat. So know that. Liz, sorry to hear about your unsuccessful attempt there. No, that's not great. Yeah, Style, take your road test in yeah, take your test in a smaller car. It's going to be easier for you. Sam, actually the student failed because he took his eyes off the road. Yeah, that sounds more like a plausible reason, that, you know, he took his eyes off the road and was looking at the examiner. Don't look at the examiner when you're taking your road test. Eyes forward, looking at what you're doing, unless you're shoulder checking. Okay, Chip Trippy Fox. Should I tell them beforehand or see if they mention it? I'm sorry, there was a previous question that you had. Okay. My car makes a grinding noise whenever I start and pull it away about 10 feet. The car is, but I'm worried that the examiner will think I hit something. You don't have any idea why your car makes that sound? Because if it makes that sound, and it does sound like something's mechanically off, I know that there are driving centers and driving examiners that may not take you out. So if it's not an issue, if it's not a mechanical issue, I might suggest that you say something to them. Okay. Style, yes, there is a rule, a scanning pattern of every 8 to 10 seconds. You have to be scanning. You have to have your scanning pattern. So you have to look far down the road. You look at your instrument panel, look far down the road, check the center mirror far down the road, check your wing mirrors. So you're always scanning, 8 to 10 seconds. You should be going through that scanning pattern and looking all the time. As well, that scanning pattern will help you to look farther ahead and predict traffic patterns and the actions of other road users on the roadway. So know that you have to do that scanning pattern to be successful on your road test. And as well, it's imperative for you to be able to pass your road test. Okay, well, the mechanic of it seems fine. Chip Trippy Fox. Okay, if your mechanic says that your vehicle is mechanically sound, I might get them to write you a little piece of paper that says it's fine, and you take that with you during your road test. That way you're not going to get into trouble and be denied your road test, because unfortunately I have seen people be denied the road test because they don't pass the mini pre-trip inspection that the examiners do when they come out at the beginning of your road test. Okay, so I would strongly encourage you to get that piece of paper from the mechanic saying that it's mechanically sound, so you're not denied your road test, because that's just awful when that happens. I've been at driving school or driving centers, and they've borrowed cars from Alberta and they don't have plates on the front. Well, here in British Columbia, if you don't have a plate on the front of your vehicle, you can't go for a road test. All right. Eddie, took my road test last week and I finally passed after 2 fails due to my lack of knowledge when it comes to rules and all. And who've been binge watching, I finally passed. Congratulations, Eddie. That is awesome that you passed your road test. Way to go, mate. Especially, you know, just you're being tenacious and keep going and know that you can do it. and thank you so much for your very inspiring words. That just keeps me going and keeps putting videos up, because you know, I'm just going to digress here and say that doing a YouTube channel, the first year is a very lonely place of doing a YouTube channel, and now that I've kind of gotten a decent size on my channel, you know, it's you guys that keep me going. It really is you guys, and the great words that you say, you know, the compliments and whatnot. So it's nice. Thanks so much. Okay. Mr. Netrevin. Okay. Right. We're CDL license on the 6th to stop. No. Mr. Netrevin, for a CDL license, you have to demonstrate to the examiner that you can shift from high range to low range. So depending on what transmission you're driving, it's going to be 5th to 4th gear. So you got to go into low range. So, but as soon as you get to low range, then you can just bring it to a stop. Okay, so if you're driving a 9-speed, a 10-speed, a 13, a 15, or an 18, you got to go from 5th to 4th. And if you go 5th to 4th, that's all you got to do, and then you can come to a stop. And then when you come to a complete stop, leave it in gear until you come to a complete stop. Once you get to a complete stop, then take it out of gear and go back to 1st gear, and then get ready to go again. So that's how you do that. El Flaco Trailer Arrow. Yes, smaller trailers react faster than a long one, and I tell that to students all the time. It's way harder to back up a tent trailer than it is to back up a tractor trailer. So know that, because they're squirrely and they take off on you. So know that. All right. Thank you, Peaches, for your compliment. That is lovely. Debbie, are there key factors I need to consider during my road test? Yes, there are certain things that you need to. Now, Debbie, you're not taking a CDL. Just remind me you're taking a car license, right? Just leave that in the comments. Okay, William. Hi, do you know of any trucking companies that offer training in Canada, more so in the Maritimes? Maybe on the far side from PEI. William, I don't... Is Schneider National in the Maritimes? Because I know Schneider National has a great training program, and once you get your license, they have a great mentor program. I would check to see if they're in the Maritimes, because if they're down there, then that's a good company to contact. So have a look at that. Jordan, best way to approach and break down the gear. I'm sorry, Jordan, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me about your gears in your Corvette. Oh, right, Debbie, you're taking your G2. Okay, so there's several things that you got to do. Don't drive over painted islands. Maintain a minimum 2-second following distance for the purposes of the road test. When you stop in traffic, stop so you can see the tires of the car in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. Don't drive into an intersection if you can't clear the intersection before turning. Make sure that your minimum 1 lane of traffic be from other pedestrians. So if you're going to turn right and there are pedestrians crossing, they have to be, and it's say it's 4-lane road, they have to be to the middle of the road. So there has to be 1 lane buffer between you and them. And also, you're in Ontario, and at crosswalks, if there are pedestrians crossing in crosswalks in the province of Ontario, they have to be all the way across the road before you can proceed. And I don't know why that is, but I was reading that in the owner's manual. But just check that information for the purposes of your road test. So those are some of the key things. Okay, style G2. Style G2 is the exit test. So for the GLP in Ontario, you've got your learner's permit, which is G1. You get your learners, and then you can drive on your own. And then a G2 is the exit test to get your full license in the province of Ontario. Edwin, I'm not sure if there are any licenses for stunt drivers. That would actually be interesting, and if you actually find out the information for that, Edwin, I would be really interested to know that. So just leave me a comment if you do find out any information about stunt drivers and that types of things, because I mean, I'm sure there's people like yourself that want to know that information, so that'd be great. Okay, Boston. On a road test, you pass a park, but there is no 30-km/h sign. Do you slow down knowing it is a park and drive slightly below 50 km/h? Yes, you do, especially if there are children present. If there are children present in the park, then definitely slow down and definitely do less than 50 km/h and make sure that you have increased scanning patterns. So know that. All right. Red Sam Potter is from Kenya, Africa. That is awesome. What time is it in Kenya? We drive on the opposite side of the road. We drive on the left. How do I maintain the center of the lane? Okay, so Sam, I lived in Australia for 5 years, and they also drive on the left. I did not know that they drove on the left in Kenya. That is awesome news. Now, Sam, there is a video here on maintaining the center of the road. Now, I know it's on the right side of the road, but the tips and techniques for centering the vehicle in the road are the same. First is to look farther down the road and find landmarks to which you can drive your vehicle towards. And as well, when you're turning, find landmarks that will guide you around the corner. Now, as well, have a look, Sam, at the fundamentals of driving video, and that will help you with getting started to manipulate the primary controls of the vehicle and to manage speed and space around your vehicle. So just go to some controlled area and then just kind of, you know, play with the videos and those types of things. 4:37 a.m. That's, are you just getting up, or are you a night owl and you're up, still up from the day before? Okay, Edgar, maintaining certain speeds. The first tip for maintaining certain speeds is, the cat just went by the window outside. That's what I was looking at. So tips on maintaining speed. So your scanning pattern is your scanning pattern is the first key to maintaining speeds, because you need to be checking your speedometer on a regular basis. Every sort of 10 to 15 seconds, you should just have a glance down at your speedometer. The other thing is Edgar, have a look at the video here on speed control. That will help you out. Just go out to the parking lot and just be kind of aggressive on the throttle, and, you know, go forward in a gear and then come back in a gear, and just kind of get used to how the vehicle responds when you're kind of tromping down on the throttle. And you know, and the other thing you can do is, if you got a tachometer in your vehicle, you can put it at a certain speed and just try and hold the tachometer, say at 1200 RPM or 2000 RPM, and just try and hold it there and get used to the throttle. That'll help you all with your speed controls and maintaining a certain speed while you're driving. And it just comes down to practice and those types of things, and learning how to control the speed of the vehicle. So it's 9:37 where Style is. It's 4:37 in Kenya, and here in British Columbia it's 6:37. So everybody's in different places in the world. Angie, if I go through a yellow traffic light and it turns red before I completely pass, is that a fail? Yes, it is, Angie. If you go through the intersection and you can still see the traffic light up above, and that traffic light turns red as you're going underneath it, and the examiner sees that, unfortunately that's an automatic fail on a road test. So coming up to a yellow light is tough. It's one of those things that is experiential. In other words, you got to do it. You got to encounter a few yellow lights before you kind of determine whether you can come to a stop or whether you can continue to go. Okay. Mamendez, always watching your videos. Great help from Levittown, New York. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your compliments. Okay, Lamar, can you have more than one class license? For example, tractor, trailer, and taxi. If so, do you have to pay for each one? All right, that's a great question, Lamar. You have a tractor trailer license, and that's just part of your CDL license. That will be on your regular license. Now, if you're going to drive cab, a taxi cab, most municipalities will have an additional fee. So, for example, when I lived in Australia, I had a driving instructor's license, so I had to pay the municipality of Melbourne, Australia, a fee to have my driving instructor's license. It was same with taxi cabs. You had to pay a fee to the municipality to have a taxi cab license. So, for you, probably in Texas there, the way that is going to work, oh, you're not in Texas. I'm sorry. I thought I read Texas. You're going to have your tractor trailer license, which is going to be part of your state license. And then probably what you're going to do, I'm not exactly sure, I would have to look it up for you, but you would need to pay the municipality your taxi fee. Okay? So that's how that works. So you do need to keep both of them updated. Usually your driver's license is 5 years, whereas unfortunately the taxi cab is going to be every year as part of the municipality. All right, Edwin, there is a stunt driving school called Bobby Orr Sports. Just found the website. Well, that's really great, Edwin. After I get done here, I'll have to write that down, because I don't know why YouTube, the comments, all of the comments that you guys are leaving here, don't get attached to the video when it gets uploaded to YouTube, which is, I'm going to leave a comment with YouTube, because that's very disappointing that all these comments kind of disappear, because they're really great questions, and basically all I'm doing is a Q&A for you guys and answering questions that you have. Okay, Live Life. Where'd you go? Here you go. Maintain 40 kilometers an hour, 50 kilometers an hour. Cars behind me honk to go faster, even though I'm going the speed limit. Are you supposed to go a bit faster since most cars are going over the speed limit? Live Life, are you preparing for your road test? Because if you're preparing for your road test, go the speed limit. Do not go faster than the speed limit. You cannot drive faster than the speed limit for your road test. That's an automatic fail. Okay, Bobby Orr Sports. I'm going to write that down. There we go. All right, Edwin, you are most welcome. Mr. Man, I'm having difficulties in 45 backing, mainly my setup. My truck is never aligned with the hull. I want usually either two sides. Then I have to fight to get it lined up. Yeah. That's just backing up, and if you're having difficulty with it, but you are able to get it, then it's just a matter of a bit more practice in order to be successful at that and actually get the vehicle backed into that. I think you're talking about it. I'm pretty sure you're talking about a trailer. There we go. Yes, good luck to everybody passing the road test. Okay, so I think I'm caught up. Chip Trippy Fox, can you be an Uber driver with an N license in BC? Any of the jobs you could do, make an income while you haven't? I don't know the answer to that question. You'd have to contact Uber for the answer to that question. Okay, Nate, when you're making a right-hand turn and there is a truck to the right of you also making a right-hand turn, you're not allowed to do that because they can wedge you in. Or are trucks always in the right lane? No, trucks, Nate, are not always in the right lane. A lot of trucks, especially once they get their license, they're supposed to do something that's called a button hook, where they leave the trailer on the inside lane and then they take the tractor out to the other lane so that they can get the truck and trailer around the corner. But unfortunately, a lot of drivers don't do that. Excuse me. So what you have to do is you have to look really closely and make sure that the signal is on and the truck is going around the corner, and just stay back. That way you're not going to get wedged in there. That's a really good question about trucks turning right at corners where you want to take a right as well. You got to wait for them to proceed. Okay, Zachary, you're nervous about your road test? Have a look here at the video on fear and anxiety. That will give you tips to reduce your nervousness about driving. Okay, so know that. Okay. Okay, Debbie, how do I keep the vehicle centered on the side of the road? Again, look farther down the road. If you look farther down the road, that's going to center the road in the roadway. Now, okay, one more thing. Okay, Style, if they don't have posted speed limits, the posted speed limit inside the city is 50 kilometers an hour unless otherwise posted, 30 miles an hour. On outside of cities, it's 80 kilometers an hour or 50 miles an hour if it's not posted. So if it's not posted, that's the speed limit that you go. So know that. Okay. Donovan, yes, they do have parallel parking in the state of California. So you will have to know how to parallel park. Okay. Official Jet, I passed my road test. You are most, that's awesome news. Thanks so much for letting us know. Now, one of the other things I want to say is the fear and anxiety video is a long video. It's a half-an-hour video, and the video that I put up today is a half an hour on autonomous vehicles. And you may or may not want to watch the video on autonomous vehicles because it's me with my professor hat on talking about why we're not going to have autonomous vehicles anytime soon. The point that I want to make is on these longer videos, look down in the description below the video, and I put all the chapters down there so you can watch the video in sections. You don't have to watch the whole video all at one time, because I know that 30 minutes is a long time and you got to be pretty committed if you're going to watch 30 minutes of the video. So just know that all of my longer videos, if it's over 12 minutes, look down in the description and there's going to be chapters down in the description for the longer videos. So know that. Okay. Andy, that is a good question. What is the purpose of gears in an automatic transmission? Why do we have low 1, 2, 3? Is there a clutch you should worry about in these gears? No, Andy, there is no gears. There's no clutch in an automatic transmission. If there's a clutch, it's not an automatic transmission. Essentially, why there's gears in an automatic transmission is they give some control to the driver. That's essentially all they're doing. The transmission is going to automatically go through those gears. It's going to use those gears as it's accelerating and decelerating. It's going to gear up and it's going to get gear down automatically. But it's just an option that they give to the driver, that the driver can use those gears. So if you want to get going, you can drop down a gear and it will rev up and take off and those types of things. That's the reason that an automatic transmission has the option of having it in, putting it into manual and allowing the driver to shift. That's the only reason that they do that. All right, who else? Okay. And what else do I need to say? Okay, so it's the second week of school. Make sure that you are aware of school signs and those types of things. Just take your time around school zones and those types of things. And if you're dropping your kids off like I would be in the morning, I don't drive my kids to school. I walk my kids to school. But and so just, you know, take your time and know that there is going to be traffic there when you're driving and those types of things. Okay? Zachary, of course you're nervous. So yes, there you go. I have a jacked up truck and I'm nervous about driving the Ford. Now look at the comment last week. I'll leave that for you, Zachary. I had another student here who had a big jacked up truck with straight pipes on it, and he was successful in his road test. So you're going to be able to do that. Just, you know, as long as you get all your driving in a row, you know, all your sort of ducks in a row, and you're a competent driver and you can handle your vehicle really well, you're going to be successful in your road test. It's not going to be a big deal. So know that, okay? Lamar, is there one license that will allow you to drive anything? Yes, there is. Tractor trailer, air brakes, and motorcycle. If you have those 3 licenses, which I have, then you can drive anything on the road. You can drive trucks, buses. Sorry, wait a minute. I'll back up. There are some jurisdictions I know in Ontario that you also need a B license. You need a school bus license. And once you get a school bus license, you will be able to drive anything on the road, because here in British Columbia, if you get a Class 1, you also get your bus license, which in some jurisdictions can be school bus and coach. That will depend. So you may have to get a school bus license as well, but most of the time, if you get air brakes and tractor trailer and motorcycle, you can usually drive anything. Okay, cause 3N8 was still wondering about CDL road test parallel parking. If you answered, I missed it. Do all CDL license have parallel parking with air brakes? It will depend where you're taking your road test. The licensing center will be able to give you that information about whether you have to parallel park the tractor trailer for the purposes of your road test. I know when I was in Victoria on Vancouver Island, they had to parallel park into a space. Other places it was just backing around a corner, and here in Vernon it's just a straight line back. So some CDL licenses are not going to require you to do that. Okay, so know that. All right, Tuesday at 11. So Sam has got some stuff going on there. Okay, William, if you move to a new province, no, you don't have to do it right away. You can wait a couple of months to change your license over, but it's required that it's suggested that you do it as soon as possible. All right. Nate, have you ever been pulled over? You're suggesting I'm a saint when it comes to driving. Yes, I have been pulled over several times, especially in my years of driving truck. I was pulled over. Actually, look at the video on getting pulled over by police, and there's an interesting story when I got pulled over in North Carolina there. Yes, I have been pulled over on numerous occasions. Not so much of late, but you know, I think that's more to luck than it is to do anything else. Zed 24, can I do my G2 test in a limousine? Well, how big is the limousine? Is it like a stretch limousine? Hunchang Yang. No, I have not been to Korea yet. It's on my list though of places to go for sure. So I'll probably wait till the whole, you know, missile crisis calms down a little bit before I head over to Korea. But yes, it's on my list. Okay. Style, that I don't know about whether you have to take your permit over, whether you can renew it. You would need to call your DMZ in whatever state you're in to do that. So, Sparkle, is it against the law to drive a motorcycle with heels on? I don't think it's against the law, but where I would suggest is that whatever state or province that you're in, I would look that up in the legislation, the Highway Traffic Act. That will be able to give you that specific information about whether you can drive a motorcycle in heels. Now, that's in and of itself, I would say driving a motorcycle in heels is a bit of a feat. So, yeah. Okay. BC, how many air brake tests do you have in BC? I'm not sure. Oh, okay, I think I know what you're asking. We have 2 air brake courses in British Columbia. One is a 16-hour course that you have to take. If you are taking driver training, then you just got to take the 16-hour course. If you're not taking driver training and not doing a pre-trip inspection when you get your license, then you have to do the 20-hour course, which includes doing a pre-trip inspection at the driving school for the weekend, and usually that's for people who are doing RV licenses and those types of things. Okay, so we're getting near the end here. We're going to wrap up pretty soon. Debbie, an international license. With an international license, how can they obtain a G license? Okay, so Debbie, what you have to do is you have to go to the MTO and you have to talk to them and you have to see whether the international license from the other country is exchangeable. So sometimes you can just change the license over and sometimes you can't. So you'll have to go to the MTO and ask them that question and see if there's some sort of reciprocal agreement with that country, because some countries do and some countries don't, and if they don't, then unfortunately you're going to have to go through the whole process again. Now, sometimes it doesn't require you going through the entire GLP program, because it just requires you to do the knowledge test and do a driving test. Now, for example, when I went to Australia, there was a reciprocal agreement. So for my Class 5 license, my car license, I just had to do the written test, but for my tractor-trailer license, I actually had to go out and do some written tests, and I actually had to do a driving test to get my tractor-trailer license back. Now, understandable, because in Australia they're on the other side of the road, which was, you know, pretty interesting driving there. So it did take a little bit of transition for me to get used to that. So just know that. Okay. All right. Okay. In BC, they don't make you parallel park, not as a rule. They just make you park behind one vehicle. So they don't make you park between two vehicles for the purpose of parallel parking. No, oftentimes it's either in a controlled area between pylons or it's behind one vehicle. So you don't have to do that. Okay, what's the learning curve for transitioning from an auto transmission car to an auto transmission truck with hydraulic brakes? Lammer, I don't think that there's much of a transition at all in terms of those two vehicles. So yeah, it's probably just going to be a couple of days, maybe a day, 2 days of transitioning. Mr. Natrevin, do you do slack adjuster test? Yes, you have to do a slack adjuster test. Here in British Columbia, we do the pry bar. In Ontario, they do the mark and measure, which is also called the applied stroke method, and you have to check to make sure that pushrod stroke is within limits every day as part of your pre-trip inspection. Sam, no, it's no kids tonight. It's they're with mom. So yeah, I was looking at that video last week. I'm like, I gotta work on my face. I'm not very good at hiding my feelings, but you know, I'll know for next week when they're back that I've got 40 minutes to do my live presentation, and then we're good. But you know, I did get 45 minutes before they started laughing and playing in the background. So if, you know, it was pretty funny. So no kids tonight. When is it safe to pass a group of bicycles? Nate, now if you're gonna pass a group of bicycles, make sure you get right over into the other lane to pass them, and make sure that, you know, when you're passing, you've got lots of room. So that's how you pass bicycles. Just carefully and safely, and make sure that there aren't any oncoming vehicles. DJ Trucker, thank you so much for that compliment. Really great. Style, how do you eliminate blind spots? You don't eliminate blind spots. You just know they're there. Sam, you laughed at that face. Yeah, I laughed at it in retrospect too, but I was like, that's funny. Lamar, you are most welcome. Okay, so Style, you're just looking in the mirrors. You should be able to see the whole front of the vehicle down, sort of on the outside, down near the bottom of the mirror. And that's how you know that you can safely change lanes. So just know that. Yeah, live life. Yes, there are people who parallel park who back right up and touch the vehicle behind them and then pull forward. So just know that. Okay, Paul, road test, speed management. If weather is crap during my road test, what is the tolerance regarding speed? It depends on how hard it's raining, how hard it's snowing. You can go slower on your road test if the weather is bad, okay? So know that. That you don't have to do the speed limit. You can drive to the conditions of the roadway, and that you don't have to do the speed limit. So if you don't feel safe driving fast because it's pouring rain or it's driving snow, then you don't have to do the speed limit, okay? So know that. That's awesome, DJ Trucker, that you got your license. I'm really happy to hear that, because it's really a big hurdle that you've overcome to get your license. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that, Hung Young. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, so just say that. Okay, so we're pretty close to the end here. We're going to wrap up here, and I thank everybody for showing up. It's been really great. I really didn't talk too much about anything. Yes, I did promise you, and it is available. I finally got it done. The course is ready to purchase. The Pass Your Road Test First Time Guaranteed, $38.99. I've priced it low because I want it to be accessible to people. So it has a schedule of 6 weeks for the course. It has everything, all the videos in it, all of the questions, multiple choice questions that will help you pass both a theory and a practical test. And as I said, guaranteed to pass your road test first time. So it's over at the website. I'm just getting all of that looking more pretty. I'm spending more time on my website. And there's a couple little glitches, but my IT person has guaranteed me that all that's going to be worked out tomorrow. So we're going to do that. Pass my road test. Poor observation. Wilson, yes. 4 components of a road test. Speed and space management. Those are 2 things. Speed management, space management, observation, communication. And you failed because of observation. So you need to work on your scanning patterns, checking your mirrors, and shoulder checking. So have a look at the road Pass Your Road Test Smart playlist here on the channel, and that will help you to pass and be successful on your next road test. Okay. So Angeline, you are most welcome. So, and Style, you are most welcome. Nate, why do they need to go that fast? They need to go that fast so that auto manufacturers can sell them, because, you know, some people want to go that fast. You know, it's fun to have a vehicle that goes fast. Style, you're going to get one. Just ask the universe for that nice examiner to pass your road test, and you're going to be fine. So we will leave it there. You are most welcome, Wilson. Good luck on your next attempt on passing your road test. Thanks you everybody for showing up. Congratulations to all of the smart drivers who have passed the road test in the last week. As I said, I've been putting that up on the website. That will be fixed tomorrow, so everybody can have a look. Mendez, thank you so much for that. I'll be around for a couple of minutes. If anybody else has any questions and comments, I'll stick around for a couple of minutes and answer any questions you have. Nate, I appreciate your existence too. Thank you for that. Have a look down. If you don't have your road test day checklist, head over to the website and get your road test day checklist, so you have a checklist of things that you have to do on road test day. It's really, really helpful, okay? Good luck to everybody taking a road test this week. All the best with that. Remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great evening. All the best. Bye now.